to another call. So today, talking with us about access consciousness, we have Tom Steensma. So let me tell you a little bit about him. So Tom Steensma creates from the point of view that there's brilliance in everything and everyone. He is a coach, entrepreneur, artist, musician, and explorer of consciousness. Tom's target is to co-create a living, thriving, and sustainable world where kindness is normal and your difference and magic is celebrated. Currently, he spreads his magic through access consciousness bars, music, coaching, and many other things. Tom, hi, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi. Well, thanks. Um, yeah. What are we going to talk about?
So before that, let's kind of begin.
Mhm.
What has been your spiritual journey? Like what got you to where you are today in whatever you consider spirituality?
Well, I've grown up in a kind of different family in the sense that, you know, people were talking about auras and entities and stuff like that pretty much all my life. I would say my grandma most of all, but so like spirituality and stuff is actually pretty normal for me growing up, and so well, went through adolescence and then kind of went off that path for a while, and went to university where you learn not to do that kind of stuff, you know. Um, but then at the end of my 20s, I think, in my late 20s, I started, getting pretty pissed off at the world and how it was going, and thinking, is this it? And you know, it seemed very solid and very not my reality. So I started kind of looking online and reading some books and stuff to just kind of find out what other perspectives there were, except for the mainstream, or apart from the mainstream. And you know, I I'm kind of an intense guy in the sense that if I find something, I dive deep. So I studied Abraham Hicks's material, for instance, a lot, and Neville Goddard, and all kinds of energy modalities. Emotion code is one of them, and maybe you know some of these. And after a while, I started listening to this podcast by Michael Sandler, which is called Inspire Nation. And over there, one of the guests that came on was Dr. Dane here, who is the co-creator of Access Consciousness. And at the time, like, it was interesting, but it was amongst a lot of things for me. So I just wrote down some questions that he gave and the clearing statement, I think, and started kind of adding that to my practice of all these different tools. And yeah, and then in 2020, when the whole COVID thing hit, I was like not looking to get super stressed and like make that thing more real than was necessary, basically. So I was really looking for a program that I could do. And I know that Esther Hicks put something up, which was like $70 or something, I think. And then here put something up for $14. And I thought, yeah, let's go for the $14. And so that was kind of my first access consciousness class. And these were 14 days, which were awesome. It turned out to be way longer than that. And after that, I just started doing more access classes, actually, and taking a bars class after a while. And my wife also took the same bars class, so from there we started exchanging bars as well. And well, it's been building since then, and took a foundation class and whatever else is, there's a lot available in access consciousness land as well. I joined some teams, like help some people create classes and stuff. So yeah, and that's where I am now, and I've now have a business where I offer access consciousness tools as well, and sessions and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's pretty cool. And I love like asking people their story because we all have like a different background. And I'll just share my one part really quick. I've shared it obviously on other episodes, but I've been on this journey, the spirituality journey again, like literally my entire life as well. I grew
Mm,
up in a household that it was very hush hush, but we did talk about spirits and we did talk about entities and just in a very different way. I mean, in a
mhm,
very, I'll just say tribal way.
mm.
Um, Long story short, a whole bunch of studies, modalities, certificates, like blah, 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 blah. I've always been searching. I've always been looking. Like you
Yeah.
said, you dig down when you like something. I'm the same way. I call myself a book nerd because any modality that I could, oh, what's that? I'll dig into it. Like I loved
Mhm.
it. So that I think that's something very similar in a lot of the people that we're talking to in Access Consciousness. And then that is one of the things I want to talk about. We come from understanding spirituality one way or another. We begin with our family, we begin with whatever we begin with. And then, like you said, I wrote it down, you got pissed off at the world. Many of us do that. I
Yeah.
still do that frequently. But now I see it. Like now I can see it and I can do that differently because life is
Mhm,
life.
mhm.
However, what I want to talk to you about today and kind of like the topic basically of what we're doing is if we can just go back and forth with access consciousness is obviously something totally different. At least in my eyes, I see it totally
Mhm.
different than all the other modalities. How different do you see it, or how would you compare it to, like, let's say the emotion code, or to whatever else that you did or you studied? Like, what way could you describe what access consciousness is or isn't?
Well, like the the greatest difference that I noticed with Access is that it's constantly in evolution actually. Like so there's r- real little structure to it in the sense that you always have to do it this way or
Mhm.
whatever. So yeah, it's very explorative in that sense, and there's so much emphasis on um, that everybody knows, and that when, for instance, when you during a class or something, you ask a question, um, the point of view of the facilitator is they ask the question because they have the awareness, and it's just a matter of asking a question that will get them to the awareness. So
Mhm.
it's a very, you know, very empowering, a very interesting uh, way of being with each other, where you can get to more and more of the wisdom that you like inherently have, and that's what I really enjoy about it. And another difference that I notice, and well, this is not so much for emotion code, for instance, because that's focused on the body as well. But a lot of the spiritual modalities are like mostly on the being and not so much on the body,
Mhm.
and that kind of leaves the body dragging behind a little sometimes,
Mhm.
because yeah, the point of view in Access is that you're dealing with kind of two entities. They're not separate, but like the body has their own uh a body has their own consciousness, and you have your own consciousness, and you're kind of in a collaboration together.
Mhm.
And so sometimes you as the being can really easily and very quickly get to something new, and the body sometimes needs a little help or a little release or relief before they can get there. So it's very honoring of the body in that way, which I really enjoy. And uh, what else? Yeah, the thing that I mentioned before, like the Neville Goddard stuff, for instance, that's
Mhm.
so much being and so little body, actually.
Mhm.
Like it's almost, mm, well, like your body is not really included in the conversation,
Mhm.
which to me, like I realized after a while that was why it wasn't working that well for me, because I wasn't totally involving the body. Um, it involves the body in the sense of sensation and stuff, but
Mhm.
not really, um, mm, not really the caring for your body.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm smiling and I'm laughing because
Mhm.
literally my body is like all of a sudden I'm like scratching here and I'm like, what the heck? But I think it's
Well,
sad and I love that you said that because there's a lot of and again, one of the things that I most like about it is for
mhm.
me, it's helped me really calm down my mental chatter
Mm,
in
yeah.
the sense of learning, just what I was going to say, neither is right or wrong.
Hmm.
And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned through access consciousness
Yeah.
is understanding how to live in the question and how to live neutral, as in not judging if this spirituality, modality, energy, way of being is right or it's wrong or it's this. Everything is different. But
Hmm.
one of the differences, I agree with you totally, is a lot of the other energy modalities or anything
Hmm.
only stays with the energy, only stays with the spiritual. It's only like I had some previous guests on the show. We were talking about chakras and gemstones.
Hmm.
And he was like, you have to remember, like, from here to here, these chakras are for one thing, from here to here, these chakras are another. But when you unite them and you work, everybody talks about the chakras like this chakra's for this and this one's for
Hmm.
this. And he's like, they're a system. Like,
Yeah.
why are we
Exactly. Yeah.
separating them? Right. And
Yeah.
that's what you're saying. It, I do see that access consciousness kind of talks about the body, like if it's something separate and outside of you, which is like an
Mm.
interesting way of seeing that. But at
Hmm.
the same time, I think we've always been doing that because even the saying, we're talking heads, we're
Hmm.
all disassociated and just literally mentally in our heads.
Yeah.
Unless we've been taught or we are aware that what our body is feeling is also a communication signal to us. It's also, hey, I'm feeling this, or I'm this, or I'm picking it up. We literally are talking heads. And I think the majority of the people are like that, unless
Totally.
we're
I mean,
guided.
and yeah, I was like that for years. Yeah. Especially during my academic years. I was, head only basically.
Right.
And the body was there to move the head. That was
Right.
yeah.
The body, we need to get over there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, and I love that. And one of the other things that, like I said, the right and wrong, like looking at things and not judging and that whole thing. Oh, I
Hmm.
just threw my pen. Um, is the other thing is what I mentioned before, the living in the question. How do
Yeah.
you explain that? Let's talk about that because with
Okay.
access consciousness, you mentioned there's not much structure, but one of
Hmm.
the things that is very, very prevalent, I guess would be the word,
Hmm.
is that they always talk about the question, live in the question. So what does that mean? Like, how would you describe that?
Mm. Um, well, it's the opposite of living in the conclusion, basically. So deciding what is right and what you should do. And a body must eat at 4 o'clock, for instance. And you should exercise 2.5 minutes to get
Mm.
a certain result or whatever. Um, no, let's ask our body to show us what it would like to have as an exercise, for instance. And let's instead of starting our day and having it all planned, which where I'm not saying that it's bad or whatever to have things planned in your day, but what if we could ask a question? Okay, um, what are the infinite possibilities for today? Which is one of my favorite questions. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, what what is available for me that I haven't even looked at, haven't even considered? Is there like who or what can I connect with today, talk to today, play with today um, that would enrich my life right away, you know, stuff like
Right.
that. And and it's when you function like when you keep uh, because let me say this first, like we live in a universe where ask and it shall receive actually happens,
Mhm.
and is actually like the rule. um, and you hear this in a lot of different modalities. Access consciousness is one of them, and so like the universe doesn't really have a point of view about whether what it will provide for you. If you ask for something, it will provide it for you, and it's not only the verbal asking, it's also what you're being in energy and what you're willing
Mhm.
to receive, and all your points of view. Um, so when but the cool thing is you got to ask in order for the universe to provide, and the cooler your questions are, the cooler the things that can show up, so living in a question is, for me at least, is all about launching requests all the time and asking for all kinds of things that totally outcreate what I've thought was possible until now. And with that, more and more miracles showing up as your life and living, and cool people that send you a message that bring you info that you never thought you wanted to have, you know. Um, and so, yeah, living as in the question is for me like functioning from this space of curiosity, from how a toddler just kind of runs around and doesn't really have conclusions about what anything is. So they just ask a lot of questions, and they just kind of are curious whether you can put it in your mouth and how that tastes and uh, whatever. And imagine, being an adult and going about life in that kind of on that level of curiosity. What could show up for you, Um, and my sense is that a lot more magic can show up for you. A lot more things that you never thought were possible could show up for you. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and okay, so two things.
Hmm.
So when we talk about asking the question,
Yeah.
because I want to be clear on this,
Hmm.
we're not asking ourselves. We're asking the universe. Like we're just, like you said, you're just throwing it out to the universe. It's not we're asking ourselves. Because again, if we're
Hmm.
talking heads and we're so used to being mental and we're so trained to be mental and we're conditioned to be mental and
Yeah.
you're empowered you're empowered enough to figure yourself out.
Hmm.
We have been taught to not ask for help, pretty much. And then to add to that, we have been taught that magic doesn't work, that miracles don't happen unless they're like, in the Bible or in scripture or God knows
Hmm.
what. Like miracle and magic for a lot of people are words that they understand what it means, but many of them haven't experienced it. So how do we go about that? It's like convincing people, but could you give us an example? Let's put it this way. Could you give us an example in your
Totally.
life of something that you asked for and it happened as if by magic, but it's literally because you asked and you were open to it?
Yeah. Well, before I share that, can I what if you could just ask, okay, universe, show me what magic is for me, or show me what magic is available to me. Like, can you make it super obvious
Right.
that this is a miracle?
I got
Uh,
goosebumps.
you know?
I did. I
So
got goosebumps.
yeah. Let's see. Okay, this pops in my head, so I can share this. I work at a supermarket at the moment, and um, I have capacities with finding stuff like very easily. Like people ask me where it is, and I instantaneously have the location for them, you know? Um, and like a while ago, I started asking, okay, how can this be easier? Like, can they just kind of pick like it wasn't even as cognitive as this, but like, what other magic is possible with this? And since then, what has been happening is either customers have found me to ask for something that they were right behind. So their gaze just like they were asking me and their gaze just went there and they
Uh-huh.
instantaneously found it. Or, well, I think I've had like 30 people since then that I had that exact thing with. They're asking for it, their gaze goes, "Whoa," and they find the thing. Um, uh, and sometimes it's not, like they ask me something and I walk to where I think it's supposed to be. They walk with me, and as I am still looking, they are finding it
Mm.
instantaneously, that kind of stuff. Or there was a few weeks ago, I think there was a customer asking me for something and I didn't have the info. And another customer showed up and said, "Yeah, that's over there and there. Let me walk you through to that." So, right, it doesn't seem very significant or whatever, but it's like it's super fun, and it's
Mhm.
showing me so much of like how like the energetics of things, and like
Mhm.
what other layers there are to reality that we're not supposed to know or not supposed to see or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Mm.
I love that. And as you're saying that, and you nailed it right at the end,
Mhm.
one, it's fun. And I think a lot of us need to remember to have fun. And even in
Yeah.
asking all these things and like just do it for fun, like just ask questions for fun and ask
Yeah.
magic to show up for fun. But the other part is, I think you have to be aware. You have to be aware of because it's what you said before. It's
Mhm.
not sometimes just the verbal, but it's the energy and the vibe and the actions that we take that manifest the things. And
Yeah.
it appears in our way of vocabulary. It appears
Mhm.
um because sometimes we ask for things without knowing. Um I don't know, let's say for a lot of people, let's say the butterfly. The butterfly is like a symbol for many different things.
Mhm.
And sometimes people say like, okay, God, okay, universe, okay, whatever. Show me a sign that I'm like on the right path. And like the butterfly passes by and they don't see it. Like
Mhm.
they see the butterfly, but they don't bring it into their awareness. That is
Yeah.
what they ask for.
Yeah.
And again, that's where the magic is. The magic is not just in like the trusting, but
Mhm.
in the knowing, like, and being aware, fully aware. And that's what's happening. You're fully aware that these people are still asking you, but they're still finding it. And you're like, oh, how cool
Mhm.
is that? Like that. So that's a very important part, wouldn't you say?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And well, yeah, it's all about awareness. And I mean, consciousness is about awareness as well. Like, and hmm, I was thinking of something while you're talking about it. It kind of left my brain.
Yeah, never mind.
Hmm. Oh, you go. Maybe it'll come back. Well, okay, yeah. So what if we could ask to be aware of those things? Like, what if that's also a question that you can add to your being, to your
Hmm.
experience, to not only ask for the things that you would like to have, but also to perceive the possibilities. And and the things showing up. And another thing is choice. Like
Hmm.
you gotta choose to be aware. You gotta choose to like show up in the world and actually experience the magic because it's all around you, even if you're not cognitively asking for it.
Hmm.
And the choice to open your eyes and see those things and to register the big magic and the small magic, the big miracles and the small miracles,
Hmm.
is what allows that muscle to be trained again that is so atrophied in most of us that learned that all of that doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we said before, we've been
Mhm.
trained, I
Yeah.
mean, to
Yeah.
not see these things. We've been
Yeah.
trained to be so logical and mental. And even when we talk about like bringing awareness to the body, like I'll give you
Hmm.
my example. Many years ago, like I said, I've been on the spiritual path like literally my entire life, but
Yeah.
fully following it and looking and like I probably started when I was about 14. So,
Hmm.
just a few years ago. But when I did study alternative medicine, I did a 3-year program.
Hmm.
And it was the first time I had ever meditated, never meditated before. And in the meditation, he was like, bring your awareness to your feet. And I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like the lingo that people talk. Sometimes I kind
Mhm.
of bring it down to like, just think about your feet. Your body knows what it's doing. Your awareness is like, what are you focusing on? Just focus on your feet. And people are like, oh, okay, I get that. But I was one of the very first ones that I was like, bring my awareness to my heart. How do I do that? Like,
Mhm.
how do I put it? What do I do? Do I put my hand on it? Do I like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I think because I remember at the beginning you said access consciousness doesn't have structure. And the fact that you can ask questions is actually very easy.
Yeah.
For me, asking the right question kind of sometimes like screws me over because I'm like, no, that's not how you ask and blah, blah, blah. Because I'm still trying to answer it myself. Like, how do I do this? And it's not the how, it's like letting it go, like letting the control freak in me, chill.
Yeah.
Um, where was I going with this? Now I lost my train of thought.
Well, okay. So what if that's not wrong? What if that's that? What if you can enjoy the heck out of that as well?
Right.
And just, acknowledge, okay, cool. I like to go in my head a little. I try to find the right thing, even
Right.
though I somewhere know that there is no right or wrong here. Um, cool. So let's enjoy it while it lasts. Let's enjoy it while I still find that fun.
Yeah.
Um, because that's like uh in Access, they talk a lot about no form, no structure, no significance, for instance.
Okay.
Um, and which is, you know, uh, what would your life be like if you didn't have to do form, structure, or significance? And you could choose any form, structure, and significance if you like to. But what if there's no necessary charge on the stuff? That's the significance part for me. What if what if you could explore and could screw up 1,000 times as well? And what if that leads to other things, to other insights, to other awarenesses, and isn't inherently wrong or right or whatever. And the no form is like uh, you know, maybe you've gone to a high school or something where there was this great teacher that that actually looked at his or her students and was figuring out what they really enjoyed and how they would really enjoyed learning, and they just kind of modified their program to those requirements. And how much more fun is that than a teacher that stands in front of the class and says, okay, we're gonna do chapter 1.
Right.
First page.
Right.
Angie, please read. Blah blah blah.
Right.
Um, uh, for us as creative beings, there's we learn so differently in such a different way, and we explore so in such a different way than the you know the rule book that is given to us, how you're supposed to do it. Yeah. And so that's the no form and the no structure, where if you're like, it doesn't mean that any of that is wrong. It's just, holding on to something will keep out all the other possibilities, and there are infinite possibilities, which you can explore by questioning and by, you know,
Yeah, and
whatever.
personal example for me of one of the things that Access has brought me is it's not just the remembering mentally of there are so many possibilities, but it gets to a point that it clicked inside me. Like it literally feels like, oh my God, why did I only think this was like maybe even following the same structure idea? Why did I think this was the only way? Wow, there's so many different, and it feels so freeing.
Yeah.
And I haven't even chosen any of them yet, but I feel so free in knowing that, oh my God, I moved from my blindfolds on thinking one way or seeing something one way to what are the infinite possibilities. And one day I'm like, holy crap, like, oh shit, like there's like, what are the infinite? It like a huge number hit me. And I was like, and then I stood back and I was like, so what do I choose? And then I think the second part to that is the playing. We are creative beings. We are allowed to play. We are, and yet we adult way too much. Because when we're children, we have an imagination and we play until we're controlled down, is my word. And now that we're trying to break from that, it's like, oh my God, I can't play. Oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God. And like you just said, if you screw up, okay, yay, I screwed up. Next. But it's like we don't judge it, we don't batter it, we don't. It's that whole shift that I've seen with Access, which is one of the reasons I'm really using it myself more than any other, for me and for my clients. It really is.
Yeah. Well, and this pops up now to talk about. So, choice creates awareness is something that is said a lot in Access as well. Like for the longest time, I've thought that you have to figure something out, and then like until you get the right thing, and then you can choose it, and then you can have your perfect life. But it's the totally opposite of that, like the total opposite of that, where you'll actually find out whether something works for you, how it works, what is actually on the other side of something after you make the choice. Then you know so and but that invites you to be way more playful and way more explorative, way more like a toddler that doesn't really know how the world works yet. So and another piece is what I really adore about Access is it, like, the basic point of view is you are an infinite being with infinite knowing, perceiving, receiving. And so everything in access consciousness is designed to get you to you and to your awareness, because you already have infinite awareness. We just have a lot of weird stuff packed on top of it, which makes it kind of hard to reach. So, and clearing and all kinds of processes, bars and body processes and stuff. It's all designed to get you to that awareness that you inherently have, which would allow you to thrive in the world, and really enjoy, and nat- like it's in our nature to have a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I can drop the F-bomb here.
Oh no, you can.
But yeah.
I'll just mark it. I'll put this one explicit and that's it.
Mm,
No,
fair
and
enough.
I'm the same way. It doesn't. But okay, so I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
What's the difference? Because everybody talks about either access bars
Mhm.
or body processes. Can
Mhm.
you more or less explain what the difference is between a bar session and a body process?
Yeah. So I'll see how far I get. Yeah. So the access bars is like one of it's the first foundational class that you take when you do access consciousness, and it's very much designed for the head. It's more for the head than for the whole body, but the head is part of the body, and it's really like it works on thoughts, feelings, emotions, basically, and it's designed um, to de-stress, to basically what it does, it dissipates the electromagnetic charge of all these thoughts and feelings and emotions that can run around in your head, which makes you feel very calm and gets you to a lot more of you and a lot more of what's true for you, basically. And it even puts you in this in the zone. Basically, it puts you in a very creative mode, and can get you even to deep sleep kind of stuff. So that's very short, a very short,
Right.
description of what bars is, and
But then what about the body process?
yeah, the body process is there are a bunch of them, like a lot of them, and every body process is like it um it works on different energies, basically. So different energies that might be present in the body. Some body processes are very general. Maybe you've ever heard of MTVSS, for instance. This is well, no, okay. So
No, not
that's
that one.
no. Uh, Basically, it helps relieve the charge in your cells.
Okay.
So like it's kind of allowing the energetics of your cells so that they can get to a more relaxed state.
Okay.
Um, but there are like literally hundreds of body processes,
Okay.
and everyone addresses some other aspect of us, basically. And so, in order to not complicate things too much, we just start with the bars, which are one of the most potent tools there are in Access, actually. And then for the more, how can I say that? Like for more specific things, sometimes the body process can work better. There are, for instance, there are processes that will help you out of mimicking others a lot. So, um, you know, this is a weird side story, but I met my father when I was 16, I think, for the first time.
Okay.
And we had the exact same walk, which
Oh,
was
wow.
super weird,
Right.
But that's one of those things that gets programmed into your body, but doesn't have to be. And so all of these things are designed to get you more free, to get you to more of you. and to get your
Yeah.
body to more of it. Yeah, some are more like based on helping you get over certain traumas, for instance. Like, and it's all like nothing is guaranteed. The results are never guaranteed, right? But it's more like a facilitation of a certain energy, which can get you to different choices. But yeah, I know people that work on soldiers, for instance, with bars and with body processes that have really made a difference in how much they suffer from PTSD, for instance. And so there's, well, I'm going kind of going all over the place. Sorry.
No, that's fine. But
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows. I mean, even different modalities and everything talks about it. And just looking at it even from a science point of view, our body does carry a lot of memories. Our body does carry a lot of imprint. Our body does. So I'm guessing, you know, the bars, like I've done bars, the bars class. And yeah, it's like those energetic points that we do on the head and like the whole thing. And when you said the electromagnetic, it makes sense because from a science point of view, you are electromagnetic, the person is electromagnetic, and then you know you're doing the work.
Yeah.
And then the body process, the body does hold unconscious memories that we don't need to know what they are. We just need to be, I'm not saying this is the way, but it's like tapping the body and be like, okay, you can let go now. Like it's okay. It's like relax. And the body will do, but sometimes we do need to do maybe a process to help different things. So I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, you know, I personally don't think this is my only life here. And I also have the sense that I've brought some energetics from other lifetimes into this lifetime, including my body and like including stuff that is in my body. So like there are a lot of weird energies that somehow these body processes seem to be the most direct way to engage them and to release them.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
And we're going to run out of time, but I definitely want to talk to you about those other lifetimes.
Mhm.
Different show,
Sure.
different moment.
Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people learn more, talk with you, connect wherever you're going to be in the world?
So I have a website, which is my name, which I hope you will post down there. I will say it, but my name is Tom Steensma. So that's TOMSTWEE and SMA. So no W, sorry.
It's okay. I'll
.com.
put it in the show notes. No worries.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you definitely said better than I did. I know I butchered it.
I'm not sure. You can find me on Facebook as well. And I'm planning a trip to South Carolina soon, where I will facilitate a bars class. So if you want to meet in person, it's also a possibility. And I will probably post on Facebook and on my website where I'll be found. And you know,
the first of many trips to the US.
yeah.
Very
What
cool.
would it be like to facilitate everywhere?
Yeah.
And
then again, what would it be like for us to actually meet at one of these places?
Yeah.
In
Totally.
either side of the world, because I will be able to get to that side as well. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.